Imagine this for a second. A dead cow, lying under the sun for 3 days straight, its flesh already turning black, giving off a smell so overpowering that a human could throw up from 100 meters away. Inside it are bacteria so dangerous that if you simply touched it and then touched your mouth, you'd end up straight in an ICU. Anthrax, botulism, cholera, salmonella, all of them at the same time inside the same rotting body. And then from the sky, a bird descends, a vulture. It plunges its beak straight into that decaying carcass. It eats, it tears, it swallows, the very flesh that would be poison to any human being. A few hours later, that vulture is flying again, completely fine, as if nothing happened at all. Here's the question. If we humans eat chicken that's been sitting out for just 1 day past its date, we end up with food poisoning. We're sick for 3 days straight, running to the doctor, popping pills. So how do these scavengers, vultures, hyenas, crows, the ones who make rotting corpses their daily meal, never get sick? Do their bodies have some kind of magic? Have they been given some special power? Or is this a story millions of years in the making? A piece of evolutionary engineering so brilliant it puts human understanding to shame. Today, in this video, we're going to crack this mystery wide open, and I promise you, by the end of this video, every time you see a vulture or a hyena, the way you look at them will change forever. Let's begin now. First, let's understand exactly what these scavengers eat, and just how dangerous it really is. When any animal dies, its body immediately begins to rot. This process is called decomposition. Within a few hours, the bacteria that were once living inside the body, under control, start multiplying out of control. These bacteria begin breaking down the flesh, and in doing so, they produce toxins so lethal they spell death for almost any living being. For a moment, think about it. The human body has spent millions of years evolving to handle cooked, clean food. Our ancestors learned to use fire, learned to cook, and as a result, our stomachs gradually grew weaker because they no longer had to work as hard. But in the animal kingdom, this didn't happen. For scavengers, rotting meat isn't a last resort. It's their actual, intended diet. So their bodies evolved for this exact kind of heavy-duty work, almost like a machine built specifically for one job. This difference matters because it explains why something that's deadly to humans can become an everyday meal for another creature. This isn't just about raw strength. It's the result of millions of years of hardship, harsh conditions, and natural selection. The first and most dangerous is Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria responsible for botulism. If a human ingests even a tiny amount of this toxin, it starts shutting down the nervous system. Breathing becomes difficult, muscles stop responding, and without timely treatment, it can be fatal. This is one of the most poisonous substances on Earth, so potent that a single gram of this toxin could theoretically kill millions of people. Second is anthrax, caused by the bacteria Bacillus anthracis. It forms spores that can survive in soil for years. If it enters the human body, it poisons the blood, causes organs to fail, and without immediate treatment, death is almost certain. Third are salmonella and E. coli. Both of these bacteria wreak havoc on the human gut. Vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and if it gets bad enough, it can even turn deadly. Now imagine, a single rotting carcass has all of these present at once. This isn't about one type of bacteria. It's 10, 20 different, dangerous species of bacteria, all existing in the same place at the same time. If a human even gets close to such a carcass without proper protection, just breathing near it could make them sick. But a vulture plunges its beak straight in. A hyena shoves its entire face inside. And they do all this to flesh that's been sitting in the sun, rotting for days. Hearing all this, it sounds like these scavengers are practically committing suicide. But the reality is the exact opposite. These animals possess some of the strongest immune systems in the world, and their bodies have gained, through millions of years of evolution, a kind of power that remains nothing short of a dream for humans, one built purely out of necessity and refined generation after generation until it became nearly flawless. The acid in the human stomach, hydrochloric acid, sits at a pH level of roughly 1.5 to 3.5. That's already pretty strong, It's what allows us to digest our food. But a vulture's stomach acid is far more intense. Scientists studying vultures have found that their stomach's pH level is close to 0, meaning it's about as corrosive as the acid found inside a battery. This acid is so powerful that when a vulture swallows rotting flesh, this super acid inside its stomach kills off dangerous bacteria within mere minutes. Anthrax spores, which can survive in soil for years, are destroyed the moment they enter a vulture's stomach. Even the deadly botulism toxin can't withstand this acid. This is essentially a natural disinfectant system that operates automatically inside the vulture's body. Every time it eats, its stomach becomes a chemical warfare zone where every dangerous bacterium is wiped out within seconds, a process so efficient that it happens almost entirely without the bird ever noticing or slowing down. But acid alone isn't enough. Vultures also have a unique gut microbiome. The good bacteria living in their stomachs has evolved in a very specific way. A 2014 study compared the bacteria found inside a vulture's stomach to the bacteria found on the outside of its body, like on its feet and face. The results were startling. Thousands of species of dangerous bacteria were present on the outside of the vulture's body, but inside its stomach, only a handful of bacteria survived, and only the ones capable of withstanding this extremely acidic environment. This means a vulture's body works like a filtering machine that only allows safe bacteria to survive, wiping out everything else. To put this in perspective, imagine if you swallowed a mouthful of anthrax spores mixed with botulism toxin. For a human, this would almost certainly be a death sentence within hours. For a vulture, it's just breakfast. The acid does the heavy lifting long before the bacteria ever get a chance to cause harm. By the time the flesh reaches the vulture's intestines, most of the dangerous microbes have already been neutralized. And here's something interesting. Vultures have their own specialized gut bacteria, like Clostridia and Fusobacteria, which are considered dangerous in other animals, but have become part of a vulture's normal digestion. In other words, what's poison for others has become food for the vulture. A vulture's body has another remarkable trick up its sleeve. Its immune system isn't limited to just its stomach. Its blood also carries special antibodies, so if any bacteria somehow survives that acidic war zone and manages to slip through, it hits a second locked door. This double-layered defense, first the stomach's superacid, then the blood's immune defense, makes the vulture almost untouchable. And if you're wondering how a vulture keeps itself clean, that's surprising too. Vultures urinate on their own legs, a behavior called urohydrosis. It sounds strange, but the purpose is that the acid in their urine kills off any bacteria stuck to their legs, which they've picked up while walking around a rotting carcass. In other words, every part of a vulture's body is designed to fight off disease, whether that's its stomach or its own legs. Hyenas shove their entire face straight into rotting carcasses, and sometimes even crush bones, which contain bacteria hidden deep inside the bone marrow. But a hyena's immune system is so advanced that it leaves even researchers stunned. Scientists have found antibodies in hyena blood specifically designed to fight bacteria found in rotting meat, like anthrax and brucella. Their immune system stays so alert that the moment any dangerous bacteria enters the body, white blood cells immediately spring into action and eliminate it. Interestingly, this immunity is present in hyena cubs from birth. When a hyena cub nurses from its mother, it also receives its mother's antibodies, giving the cub the strength to fight these diseases right from the start. Some scientists believe hyenas also carry a special kind of genetic adaptation that protects them from diseases like salmonella and anthrax, without any vaccine, entirely naturally, written directly into their DNA. It's not just a hyena's stomach, its entire body, its skin, its blood, its liver. Everything is designed in a way that protects it from the toxic effects of rotting meat. Another fascinating detail, hyenas can crush bones more powerfully than most other animals. Their jaws are so strong they can shatter bone completely, and their digestive system is so advanced that it can safely digest the bone marrow inside, even though bone marrow itself often carries dangerous bacteria. If a human ate raw bone marrow, it would be practically the same as directly injecting toxic bacteria into their system. Scientists have also found that a hyena's stomach acid level is fairly high too, not quite as extreme as a vulture's, but still far stronger than a human's. This combination, powerful acid, specialized antibodies, and genetic immunity, makes the hyena one of the most disease-proof animals on the planet. What's even more remarkable is that hyenas live and hunt in tight-knit clans, sharing carcasses among dozens of individuals at a time. If their immune systems weren't this strong, a single infected carcass could wipe out an entire clan within days. Instead, hyena clans have thrived for millions of years precisely because natural selection kept favoring the individuals whose bodies could handle this constant exposure to deadly pathogens without ever slowing them down. It's not just vultures and hyenas. Crows, jackals, and countless species of insects are also part of this cleanup crew. Crows, considered highly intelligent birds, also carry a fairly strong immune system. These small scavengers are quite clever about what they eat. They only consume the part that's safe for them, leaving the rest for other scavengers. Together, all of these creatures form what scientists call a decomposer chain. Every living thing plays its part in this chain, keeping nature's own built-in cleanup system running continuously. Jackals are also an essential part of this chain. They're often drawn to rotting carcasses at night, and their bodies also carry a fairly strong immune defense that protects them from the bacteria found in decaying meat. Interestingly, jackals and hyenas share a similar diet, but their behavior differs. Jackals often hunt alone or in small groups, while hyenas hunt in packs and can even take down and digest large prey together. And when it comes to insects, they're the smallest but hardest-working cleaners of them all. A single blowfly can lay thousands of eggs in its lifetime, and its larvae eat through flesh so quickly that within just a few days, an entire carcass can be reduced to nothing but bones. Forensic scientists actually use these insects to determine how long ago a death occurred, since each insect species has its own specific schedule for when it arrives at a decomposing body. Even bacteria and fungi that live in soil play their part in this chain, breaking down whatever the larger scavengers leave behind, until eventually nothing remains but bare bone and dust return to the earth. It's a system with almost no waste. Every scrap of a dead body gets recycled by something, somewhere, in this vast web of decomposers. So far, we've only looked at how these animals avoid getting sick. But the real story is much bigger than that. Just imagine, for a moment, what would happen if these scavengers didn't exist. Every day, millions of animals die around the world, in forests, on roads, in fields. If nothing cleaned up these carcasses, they would keep rotting, and the bacteria and toxins rising from them would keep spreading through the air, water, and soil, slowly poisoning entire landscapes that whole communities depend on for their drinking water and farmland. This wouldn't just be a minor problem. It could pose a serious threat to entire human populations. The risk of diseases like anthrax and botulism spreading would multiply many times over. Vultures and hyenas are essentially nature's cleanup crew, protecting us from diseases we never even get to see. According to one study, when vulture populations in India began to decline sharply because a drug given to cattle turned out to be toxic to vultures, the effects were felt directly on human health. Rotting carcasses were left lying out in the open, and wild dogs began showing up in huge numbers to feed on them. As a result, diseases like rabies started spreading rapidly because the wild dog population had suddenly exploded. So when nature's cleanup crew can't do its job, it directly impacts human life. This isn't just a scientific fact. It's also a warning about why we need to protect these animals. This vulture crisis is now considered one of the fastest wildlife declines ever recorded, with some species dropping by over 90% in just a couple of decades. Conservationists have since worked to ban the harmful drug and breed vultures in captivity, but the damage to the ecosystem and to public health took years to even fully understand. It's a stark reminder that a creature most people find repulsive can, in fact, be one of the most quietly essential guardians of an entire region's well-being. Now the question arises, how did all of this even become possible? This didn't happen overnight. This is the result of millions of years of natural selection. Those scavenger ancestors who happened to have stronger immune systems survived and passed that trait on to the next generation. The weaker ones got sick and died. So generation after generation, these animals' bodies grew stronger and stronger until today's vulture or hyena became capable of turning some of the world's most dangerous bacteria into their food. This is one of the most beautiful examples of evolution, where harsh conditions gave animals a kind of power that once seemed completely impossible. What is poison for humans has become a livelihood for them. And this isn't just about biology, it also teaches us that everything in nature has its own purpose. What disgusts us, rotting flesh, foul-smelling carcasses, is actually a source of life for someone else. It's also worth remembering that this kind of adaptation didn't happen in isolation. Every single trait we've talked about today, the battery acid stomach, the specialized antibodies, the genetic resistance passed down through generations, evolved alongside the very bacteria they now defeat. It's an ongoing arms race that's been running for millions of years, with scavengers and pathogens constantly pushing each other to adapt, and the scavengers, so far, coming out on top every single time. So the next time you see a vulture soaring in the sky or hear a hyena's cry echo through the jungle, remember, this isn't some frightening or disgusting creature. This is one of nature's most essential heroes, one that risks its own life to protect us from diseases we never even get to see. While we humans get sick from eating food that's just one day old, these animals carry, thanks to millions of years of evolution, a strength that protects them from some of the deadliest toxins on Earth. So the next time you see a vulture feeding on a rotting carcass, remember, it's not getting sick, it's saving the entire world from getting sick. Nature always tells us stories that put fiction to shame. These scavengers are one of the greatest examples of this, that every living being on this planet has its own purpose, no matter how strange or terrifying it might seem to us. And the more we understand them, the more we realize just how thoughtfully nature's system has been designed, where everything, whether it's rotting flesh or the bird that eats it, has its own rightful place. If you enjoyed this video and want us to keep bringing you mind-blowing science and history secrets like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon, so the next time we uncover a new secret, you'll be the first to know. See you in the next video with another question whose answer you probably never even thought to ask. Because the natural world, it turns out, has far more secrets hiding in the things we least expect than we ever imagined.